What's happening, Hardscapers? You're here for the first ever How to Hardscape / Not Our Finest Hour crossover episode, where the first half of the episode will be aired on How to Hardscape, and the second half of the episode will be aired on Not Our Finest Hour. And we have a very special guest on the first crossover episode, Tricia Hamilton from Sitescape, who is the Vice President of HR and whose sole focus is hiring and HR, human resource management, which obviously is a hot conversation piece in February in the landscaping world. And we are super lucky. I've known Tricia a long time. She is super smart, and definitely the best of the four of us on this podcast.
Thank you.
Welcome, Tricia.
Nice. Thanks for having me, guys. I'm excited.
Through your career, and now answer this however you want, because I think we're at that time of the episode. Through your career.
Okay. Ready to fucking go. Let's go, baby.
Oh gosh. I need to buckle up.
Okay, I'll kick things off with this here. So through your career, have you noticed a change in people? In terms of like generational changes and how you actually have to tailor, I don't know, like interview questions or just disputes, anything that comes up. Do you find generational differences that you actually have to work at when you interact with different generations?
I think so. Yeah. I don't like putting people in that kind of stereotype or that group or that categorization. There's definitely been a change in, I think, the younger generation, their expectations of what their career would look like or where they would walk into a company. And I think long gone are the days of where you started, as like my grandfather did, where you started stocking shelves at a grocery store and then was top sales guy for General Mills cereal in Canada. Like, you don't hear those stories anymore. I do tailor things differently. I think too, like that aspect of always being behind the computer and their phone, younger people maybe don't have the same speaking skills. And that oral presentation of themselves in an interview is challenging for them. Whereas they're happy to do it by Zoom, right? Whereas I think for us, when the pandemic hit, and for me, because I'm older, when the pandemic hit, and I was like, you want me to speak on the computer? Like what? Like, I'm an in-person kind of in your face person. So I think that presents challenges too, but I think there's still like really great young people that are looking for work and that you just have to find and give them the opportunity and remember that they're just used to having their phone in their hand 24/7.
I think we have, sorry, Chad.
What does the reality check look like then for these younger generations coming in? Can you break them to the point that, hey, they fit in with the rest of the guys now? Or are you always going to have to soft step to these new kids?
It is a bit softer, right? And the phone thing, like when you tell them, like, you can't use your phone until you're on break. They're like, what? We're like, it's better if you just leave it in the truck, right? And then you go on break and you go and you take your phone. Like, that to them is just unheard of. So, and I think too, the construction industry has changed a lot. I think, especially in the commercial setting, you don't see as much of that foreman just screaming at you to, get to work. And they don't like it. They don't want to be yelled at. They expect to be able to, be treated like
I had a discussion today with a couple of us. I have and I love him. One of our guys keeps parking a machine at the dump, at the back of the dump. And it's wet and muddy, and I can't get to it to fuel it. And he keeps doing it. And so I went to the dump today, couldn't get to the machine. I'm a little bit frustrated. And so I called Kelly and I said, listen, I know if I grab him and scream in his face, you are a fucking idiot. Stop fucking parking there. What the fuck are you doing? We've discussed this 100 times. He will never do it again. But being trying to be a better person, and
aggressive.
Looking back on the way I treated people in my life, I don't think it was great. I think there's lots of people I mistreated a lot, like really heavily. So I don't want to be that person anymore. I've tried 7 different ways to say, hey man, can we not park here? So I said to Kelly, like, what? Can you tell me a different way to communicate this? Like, should I get a billboard or like tape a sticky note in the, I just because I'm looking for different ways to communicate with that generation too, because a lot of our staff fits into that generation, and I don't think that generation of people is lazy at all. I know they're not. Like they're hardworking people, but they do have a larger, like when I started, you went and you did what you were told, and you did it blindly.
You didn't question.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
well,
then
you know what you should do though? Is you should make an Instagram post about not parking the machine there. And that you would see. Or Snapchat, you know?
Well, I did call him today and I said, bro, listen, I don't want to yell at you. I love you. You're such a good guy.
Yes.
But stop, please stop parking there. And he was like, man, I did it again. I'm really so I think we found a way through it, but it just was like, I think that generation, like we have most of our staff fits into that sort of between 25 and 35 range, which is what people would consider millennials.
Yep.
And they all work really hard and they're smart. They all want more information than my generation got. And more information. Exactly.
Yeah. The why. Yeah.
Why are we doing this?
Why? And if you explain it to them, usually like that why goes a long way. And I have teenage girls, right? So I have a 22-year-old and she's a hustler. She'll work, she works so hard and she's always working and work drives her and making money drives her. So they're not lazy. But they are, different than we were. They want to understand the why. And I get that. I like knowing why too. I've just always been a curious person. But I find if you tell them like the why, generally it goes better. It's hard, but do you think that they'll ever fit in with the old construction guys?
Ever is a good question.
Like, do you think like you can bridge that,
right?
Generational change. So you've got new laborers coming in. You've got your foreman who's seen it all and has been in the era of getting grabbed by the collar and screamed at when he did something wrong on his first day, right? Like, do you think you can ever get them to the same?
I'm careful with language.
Yeah.
And I say
you are because you're the boss, right? But like the guys working together, they're not careful. My guys sure as shit aren't careful with their language when they're talking to each other.
I would assume my guys are not.
Yeah. It's like I've had a client, a residential client, tell me before she was afraid to come outside of her house because she thought the guys were fighting. And the guys just have, no, that's just how we talk to each other. And like, I'm embarrassed about it, but again, I'm not on site.
No.
9 hours of the day, right? So,
we have had a couple complaints on a commercial site about language, and it depends. It depends where you're working. Like if you're working in the city, and there's condos and residences around, you do have to be careful of your language. Similarly, if you're on a very professional corporate nuclear site, you can't use that kind of language either, right? So we've had some complaints about it.
I don't know if there's a quick fix other than I think both sides have to give a little.
Yeah, I think so too.
I don't think that the guy who's been at a company for 25 years can have an expectation of someone who's 25 years younger than them potentially to behave and act the same way. I struggled with that a lot, and now I'm much more accepting of. It took me a really long time to learn that because it's different, it's not wrong.
Yes.
As a
person. You can learn a
lot
lot from, like the old guy can learn a lot from the young guy, I think wisdom, but also like, I don't know, talking to young people is invigorating. They've got so much more life in them, and they're gonna mess shit up now different ways than you did, and you get to kind of watch them go through it. So I don't know. I think there's something that you can learn from each other.
So how do you resolve disputes between employees?
Ooh, that's a loaded one. It's it depends on the severity of the dispute. We've had some serious ones. We've done a lot of sit down, HR sit downs at the boardroom. Some removals from site. I think sometimes if it's like it's heated, it's midsummer, it's 40 degrees outside, tempers are hot. Sometimes it's better that you just kind of remove it from site, like the argument, maybe both parties from site for a day, cool down, cooler heads prevail, 24 hours, give them kind of a break, and then have a talk with them. There's been quite a few disputes over the 4 years that I've been doing this.
Do you have a stages of discipline?
Yeah, we have a progressive discipline form. So it depends on kind of the severity of what's happened. Like if it's they were yelling at each other and somebody took offense to it and was maybe being more sensitive, and that's okay that day. That's one thing. But if you're threatening or kind of in that harassment kind of area, then you really do need to take it serious, and it's suspended days without pay or those kind of things.
What if someone's late?
Oh. It's so hard. Late's really hard because there are valid reasons for being late, right? Like
totally.
There's some some things happen and you've got a good reason, and then there's the guy who has had car trouble 18 times in a month, and he's had a flat tire.
I fired that guy.
Yeah, right. Like so.
So it's it was an excuse to fire him, but he got fired because the car didn't start for 18
days in a row. And it's like at some point or the traffic. Okay, well at some point you need to get up earlier and leave earlier. Like you're aware there's a traffic issue. So generally the foremen deal with the lates. I usually only get it once it's getting to a point where somebody's really frustrated and nothing that they're doing is working. So that's kind of when I step in. And again, you have to go with that progressive discipline, right? Or if you can't show up to work on time, then you can't work here. We have to have our people there, and we start at 7. So, on most sites.
How many steps? Sorry, how many steps to that discipline are there before they get fired or some sort of action gets taken?
So it's written.
Yeah.
It's verbal. So verbal warning, written warning, which will go in their file. Then it would go to like a suspension without pay, like you're off for 3 days, no pay. Then I would probably at that point, if it's the same theme is recurring, then it would be gotta let you go.
Do you document? Document the verbal warnings?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
And is that flexible based on how good the worker is? Because
yes.
I know I would break my own rule if the guy was really good and we needed him to finish a job or finish the season or something like that. I'd probably let more shit slide than I would if he were an instigator and he was not good at his job or like.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think too, like people like I try to remember like there could be something going on personally that is affecting their work at this time. So the outside stresses really influence kind of your day-to-day life. So, if you've got a regularly good worker who shows up on time, he's skilled, he's productive, you've never seen any problems, and all of a sudden you get in and he's just, he's pulled a 180 and he's a completely different guy. There's got to be something going on. I think you have to have kind of some compassion and leeway on those kind of cases as well. It's challenging.
So I have guys that for the life of them they can't get along and I have to separate them. And so I'm sort of as a business I'm limiting what I can do based on my chess pieces, right? I have like the pawn and the queen can go together or whatever, and then the knight and the rook can go together, but I can't mix them up and I can't play the full board. Is there a way to overcome this? Do I need to add different pieces, more pieces? Like is there a solution to this, or am I just going to be stuck for the next 25 years playing this game with?
So I guess I would ask what you've already done, but also do you need to tailor like are those two roles, those two people so important that you're tailoring your whole business and your whole business model around moving those chess pieces?
Yeah, we are, right? Like we'll have the excavation crew and the planting crew that can't touch the interlock crew, and there's no fucking the interlock crew, if they're not busy for a day, well, we're finding them another job to do for that day because we're not putting them with the other crew because it doesn't. We're asking for an issue.
You've done a sit down with both of them
No.
at the same table?
We've done the bare minimum because that's just the type of landscape company we run, and the confrontation, and it's we like to think we're professional, but we don't have an HR department, right? Like we don't have another missing piece that we could really use to sort of round out the whole operation.
I think everybody does it like it's HR is kind of like one of those words like HR. And do you really need an HR department? You know, I've run this business for how many years? Do I really need an HR department? But I think in dispute resolution and that kind of thing, you dig into the why and work the problem. So what
is essential? Like I'm missing a major step by not doing this, is what you're telling me.
I would tell you, I would say you need to understand why and have them sit at the table with you and have a conversation, an open conversation, and like clear the air. Get their feelings out and then say, how do we work? How do we, and put it to them, how do we work towards this? Because I can't limit my business model because you two can't get along. That's not working for me anymore. It's actually costing me money because when I can't send a crew over here because you're working there, I'm sending them somewhere else. It's costing me money.
Yeah.
So how do we fix this?
Yeah.
How long has the dispute been going on?
Yeah.
For I don't know, a couple of years now. Well, I mean, like it's not like they see each other in the morning and they want to fight right off the bat. It's not like two stray cats or something like that, right? Like they're civil to each other, but as two leaders, so one is a 65-year-old and one is a 30-year-old. Anytime you put them in a situation where they both think that they can lead, they will try and get ahead of each other for that, and then it just snowballs from there.
And was the original dispute just over work-related things? Like it was just about who was in charge, or was it about a decision that one made on a site?
No, it was, I think somebody moved someone's lunch kit.
No,
a lunch kit? Yeah, and then there was a water truck involved, and someone sprayed the windshield, and then someone almost got ran over, and then I'm going to kick you in the nuts, and...
this is like a full out.
This is and my response at the time, candid about it, is not my problem. You two are adults. Figure it out. You're not going to fight on my site, though. Like, I'll send you both home before. Because we were doing a job for our city, like a civil landscape job, and we just couldn't have the fighting.
You can't have that there, right? Like you can't have. I mean, not that you should have it in residential either, but the city's definitely not going to point having a full out brawl on your site. And this is like a couple years ago.
Yeah, probably 3 years ago now. I mean, they've calmed down from that.
Like now you could, I feel like now you could do it. Like before you start up in the season, like get them both in a room and say, okay, like it's been 2 years.
The old guy is part-time now because he's gonna retire, or like he'll help out here and then. My young guy, he's a great worker. I mean, just they all have their quirks, right? Like you have to. Every single one of them has something that they're good at or great at, and something they're awful at, and communication's good or communication's bad, or following directions is good and bad. Like they're all. It's
managing personalities.
Yeah. I'm good at managing work, not so much at managing personalities.
Well, it's hard to do it all. Yeah. So if you're in that role where you don't have, support systems and kind of that structure in your overhead, your office, it's hard to do it all. And that's why you get to the point where you're like, figure it out yourself, because you have too much on your plate.
Yeah.
And it's hard to do HR, and payroll and all of the things, and sell the jobs, quote the jobs, all of those things.
So at what point would you say a corporation or a company needs an HR? Like, how many people is it worth bringing in an HR? Or is it an HR part of someone else's job? Like, is that a hat that someone else has to wear in a company, and you can't just have an HR?
I think you're all doing HR. You just don't really think that you're doing, you don't label it like, oh, I'm doing HR. You are all doing HR because you're managing people and employees. You're hiring, you're firing, you're giving people tasks, right? So every business owner does HR. I think you need either somebody to take on part of the role when it becomes too much for you to do. When you've lost all control of, what everybody's doing, what time they're showing up, and kind of that, like any kind of employee structure, I think that you need either somebody dedicated for it or help with it. And you can even have a part-time, HR person that comes in and does, in a part-time capacity, or at least assist you. But when you feel like you've lost all control of everything, that's when you need it.
I like to think I have pretty good control over it. It's just that's the elephant in the room, is that those guys fighting and stuff like that.
Yeah. I feel like after 2 years, you got to give it up. These two that are fighting, like, I want to sit them down. I want to come and join you and sit down with them just to see if this is all over this.
I want to be there too. This could be an episode.
This could be a whole. Let's do it. Like, who moved the lunch kit? Like, you put the lunch kit on the ground, and then what? You got the water truck out? Like, I want to know the details.
So, well, we're in Not Our Finest Hour. We can go into this.
Yeah.
A couple of years back, I think so. Whenever we do commercial sod, we start at one side of the road, go down that side of the road, flip to the other side of the street, because we're usually doing city blocks at a time, whatever, right? And then back up the other side. For some reason, they started not at the beginning, but maybe 2 or 3 houses over or whatever. And one of the dump trucks was in the way. So when the water truck got there, he had to move the dump truck in order to pull the water truck up the side and water, right? The lunch kit must have been on the seat, and then it went to the floor, and maybe it spilled or maybe it didn't.
Something happened.
Fucking no, something
with
happened.
The lunch kit.
Yeah. But then in the process of the truck being moved and the lunch kit falling on the floor or on the seat, whatever it is, the guy who drives that dump truck got pissed off because someone else moved his dump truck, and then the lunch kit falling was the spark that ignited the fucking whole thing.
The war.
Yeah, and then the dump truck. He moved the dump truck again, but the water truck, I almost got ran over, and he hosed the whole windshield, and then there was an exchange of words, and then I'm not working with him and this and that, and I said, I just need you to finish watering. You're the only one who can do the watering today, and meanwhile there's 20 pallets of sod sitting out in the 40-degree heat, and they can't stay there, so like everybody has to do their job today. It's
And you were you on site the whole time or no?
I was on site, I was laying sod with them. Yeah. But then I got so frustrated with the situation that now I have to go because I need a minute to think before I'm gonna fucking lose it, and then nobody's doing their job.
Nobody's eating lunch. I'm moving all your lunch kits.
And I'm not that kind of boss, right? So I mean, it's what a nightmare of a day. But
it's really hard, and it's like I do think that, and I don't think everybody has to like each other to work together, because I don't think you're going to like everybody. But there has to be a way that we can be adults and work together. But it's really hard. And we've had a couple instances where, somebody said, I don't want to work with that person. and it's hard when you're moving the pieces and you need staff, and we need you to go here, and that guy's going to be on that site. That girl's going to be on that site. You guys have to work together, it's hard. You need to sit them down. I want to jump in and do HR consulting for an hour.
Okay, come on down. We'll take consulting for HR.
I want to dive into this.
Yeah, maybe that's exactly
beautiful Cornwall.
Beautiful Cornwall.
Cornwall sounds good.
Yeah,
I think I've ever been to Cornwall.
You're not missing much. Go ahead. Someone else.
I was gonna say I've when someone brings up an issue with someone else, I try to preach tolerance and Kelly used to be a manager at the group homes, and everyone has an accommodation plan. And so when I was in HR back in the day, I had almost an accommodation plan for every staff member, because every staff member needed something different from the company. Some people are single moms and need to can't be there at 6:30, but can be there at 6:45. 15 minutes makes a total difference in their life. Some people have to leave to take their daughter endlessly to soccer in Toronto.
Weird.
At 4:00 in the afternoon. So this year, when people brought up potential issues, I said, okay, the world is imperfect, and these are the things that you need from the company, and perhaps these are the things that the other person needs from the company. And if you want, we can create a blanket policy for our company's small enough that I'm like, we can treat people individually. We have one person without a license, but that position would have a truck. But that person obviously can't have the truck.
No.
So the lead hand below
the
has
lead
the truck.
hand's got a truck.
With an understanding that this truck actually is part of the. So when someone comes in and says, "Well, I don't know why that," well, okay, well, that's not really his truck. That truck really belongs to this person, but obviously it can't be that. And so I try to say to everybody, everyone has something different they need from us, like from Paper King Limited, including me, including Cal. Everyone has something that they need from Paper King Limited, and it's a different thing for every single person. So we can either make a blanket set of rules that everyone has to follow and no one is fucking happy, or we have to accept that this person is accommodation, or this person does an absolutely fantastic job but is periodically 10 minutes late. That's the kind of thing that we've been working through as a company, because we grew, and then it caught kind of like too many, but I think that we're doing better with that. It's sort of seeing everyone has something different that's important to them. And maybe someone else isn't getting that. Well, at your guys' size, that's totally different.
It's like, how many accommodations can you make? Right? So if you've got, one, each crew, there's 4 different accommodations for timing or this or that. And I'm not saying not to make accommodations. But it's where do you draw the line? Where is that blanket statement where, at least minimum we need 8 hours of your time a day to be employed here, or whatever you deem it to be. And it's really challenging, because I think everybody leads a different life and everybody has challenges at home and, different struggles. So if you do want to be accommodated, I would want to accommodate everybody, but we also have to make money to keep the company going. We have to, it has to be fair across the board to everybody as well. So it's a challenge finding that balance. So I think it's kudos to you that you're doing it in the way that you're open and transparent with everybody. Like, this is what we're doing instead of doing the blanket statement. So you may see that this guy, looks like he has the truck in the lead hand role, but it's really for the foreman. This person leaves a little bit early because they, we're accommodating that, or nobody gets any accommodations, and these are the rules.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I think it's I guess it's just a different work environment, right? It's at like when I started, if you weren't there at 6 a.m., you were fired.
You were fired.
Yeah.
Or you owed everybody coffee the next day, or you had the shit job for the day, that kind of thing, right? For the foreman would lose it. And even in like the corporate jobs I worked, like there was no accommodations. You were there. They told you what time to be there, and you were there. You didn't get to. I didn't call the hospital and be like, "Hey guys, sorry, it's a little late. Had to stop and pick up some groceries." You know how what life's like. I'll be there when I get there. You can't. You just that's not the way life works, right? So I also think in 2023, especially like post pandemic, I think that people's ideas and opinions of work have changed, and work life balance has become a bigger. Like we've always said it, we've been saying it probably for 10 years. Oh, work-life balance, find work-life balance. But I do think now people really do look at work and life and balance. Whether that be, I'm able to work from home for one day a week, or I'm able to, take off early to spend time with my children or whatever it is. I think in 2023, that's more prevalent than any year I've ever seen.
Kind of turn a bit of a different direction. I think this is an HR thing. Is there value in company? I'm not an HR person, so I wouldn't know. But is there value in company events, and whether or not on clock or off clock? What's better, do you think?
I think there's a lot of value in company events where you get everybody in together in some capacity, having fun outside of work. Some people really don't enjoy company events and will never go. I want to get back to doing more of it. I think kind of the COVID thing really put a damper on doing those kind of like work social events where you get to be yourself and you're not working. And I want to get back to doing a little bit more of that. I think even team building for crews, whether it's like they go out every other Thursday, at least for an hour after they're done on site. And just that, like, again, that time away from work where they're socializing, I think is huge.
Right.
So I'd like to see more of it.
We used to do a thing at Ridge Lake.
Yeah.
Where once a month I would tell the foreman they were supposed to take the crew out for like a real sit down lunch, not eating the lunch kit that fell on the floor in the water truck.
It was a little soggy.
I'd like to go to a real restaurant, not like a McDonald's, like a real restaurant where you sit down and everyone has lunch together. Because I feel like sitting at a table face to face with people takes some. Because on a site, if you're in a disagreement, you can go sit by yourself, or you can stay in the machine, or you don't have to have the.
You can be very solitary on a site.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. And so forcing people into that thing at least once a month was sort of and so we had that kind of policy where they were supposed to do it once a month and take.
I love it.
It was actually a really good policy. It was a good.
I think that's great. And the company paid for it, obviously, right?
Begrudgingly, the owner of that company paid for
it. Because I think that's really important, right? And it's something different. And they can, be more human, and maybe then have compassion for their worker, their, coworker about a certain thing going on in their life, and not get angry about the lunch kit. You never know.
I also spent a lot of time the last 3 years stressing that we are a service-based business.
Yeah.
That's what we do. We provide service, and if we're late or we're in a bad mood or we're trying to smash through the windshield on the Bobcat because they clipped the side of your truck. Maybe that happened. We are a service-based business, and that's one of the things I try to remind everyone is that. And for us, we provide a lot of trucking to you guys.
Yeah.
And if we were not on time, I like to think that we are generally known as an on-time, competent company that provides good service. So. That's one of those things matter to people somewhere down the line.
It does. And I think that the way people see you when you're at work, your crews, right? If they're, dressed professionally, with their PPE on, or working together. They're not screaming at each other. They're not yelling at the old lady who's yelling at them down the road, or whatever it may be. Like, that goes a long way for your GC, your client, whoever it is, the city, and that's all we do, is we service whoever we're working for.
I think, was it you who said that you become the image of your biggest client?
PK, I said you become like your biggest client. Yes.
Yeah. So we've got this terrible problem in my city where our biggest clients are these old type construction guys, right?
Yeah.
This whole old mentality that we're going to do what we want and we're going to get the job done and it's going to be done our way and it's going to be loud and dirty and messy and full of swear words and all this. And I don't want to say I hate it, because I love it, because that's what I've grown up learning, right? But how do I differentiate my company from their company when they're these multi-million-dollar companies? Obviously, we love getting work from them, all of them, because there's 3 or 4 or 5 GCs that are very similar. How do I not be like them whenever all my guys see them and think, well, their construction, it's working fine for them, might as well work fine for us?
That is tough. So are they working? They're working on site, and some of their guys are working on site, and they're seeing.
Yeah, so like Civil will be on site buttoning up some stuff or whatever, and we'll be there prepping topsoil and sod and planting trees and all this stuff.
And they're just swearing and like old time construction.
Yeah, the good old days, right?
Like the good old days,
yeah.
It's really tough, because I think that is becoming obsolete, especially out this way. Like, can you imagine going to a site in Toronto and having like that, like the yellow? I mean, you can still see it.
We've talked about this before. You guys in Toronto are like 10 years ahead of my city in that scope of things, right? Like, we're way behind. But
we're trying to have that kind of like professionalism and that structure in place, and that professionalism to keep working with large GCs that are very progressive and very corporate and all of those things. It's really tough to set a standard when you're the site you're working for. That's kind of that lead by example. It's no different. A GC is leading by example. So if your GC, they're showing your guys kind of that unprofessional look of that would be very hard to change, other than setting your own standard and being better than the GC, right? So instead of becoming your favorite GC, be better than your GC is your motto. That's tough though, because even if you're on a site where there's a bunch of swearing, you'll start swearing. Just it's just what you do.
It's and my guys don't mind it in the least, right? But one day, like, when
you're hiring new people for you, if you're hiring new generational people, right, like younger people, they might have an issue with that.
Yeah. No, we tend to attract the people that are rougher around the edges, I think. Just because even myself, like, I'm not all that clean cut of a guy. But I think landscapers in general are sort of that fringe.
Cowboys, renegades. Yeah.
But I think sometimes we get the worst of the worst.
I do think that, but I think that landscaping is kind of like that. It's kind of ballsy in a way, right? Because it's really like it's guys that started and they were helping somebody when they were in high school, and then went and said, I'm going to make a business out of this, and I'm going to do this on my own. So I think it's kind of a ballsy thing. But you do get kind of that cowboy renegade, interesting kind of population.
I think it's made worse by the fact that there's no certification, like no red seal for landscaping, right? Like, maybe. And I don't know if that's coming or if it's never going to happen or what. Like,
I feel like it touches too much.
Yeah.
That's the
I
part.
agree. Yeah.
Like if you're an electrician, you're dealing with electricity. You don't deal with electricity one day and then do porcelain tile on the roof the next day. You do electricity, you do electricity. If you're a carpenter, you're framing stuff, you're building things with wood. You're not building things with wood one day and welding up the truck frame the next day.
No, you're not
Like
doing that.
I feel like that's always going to be the challenge with. I mean, I've been a member of LO. I've been party to many discussions about this, but it's so hard. Like you're certifying every part of it when really you're touching so many parts. How do you like someone who knows everything about trees is not going to be familiar with the latest Hardscape catalog or building.
No.
It's so tough to put a certification on it or put it like it's because you're just doing so many things.
And there's so many skills that the guys learn, by doing and being on site, right? And it's also artistic, and there's so many things that go into making a great landscape.
And realistically, there would be like you'd almost start subsections because there'd be like an operators union and a laborers union and you'd start to so the guy who loves the person who loves running the skid steer would be like, well, you can't, sorry, that's not part of your job anymore.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. How do you do
that? And the person who runs the skid steer, they go to get out and, rake some mulch around a tree at the end of the day because they're trying to get home. And whoa, that is not part of your job anymore.
No. Call over the other guy.
Does that happen in unionized landscape companies though?
I have no idea.
I don't know.
There are a couple in Ottawa.
There's a few,
unionized landscape companies, and I wonder, with a union rate on a laborer, how they're making money.
Well, so that I can tell you, they're just bidding against there's certain jobs that are only open to those companies, so they're only bidding against the company with the same labor rate.
Yeah. But there's also a lot of jobs that they're bidding against me on, right?
It could be.
So they shouldn't be able to touch me because I'm not unionized.
Well, they know their numbers, and we've established that you don't.
And they know my numbers, apparently.
You established it, not me. I'm just repeating your own words.
No, you're right.
That's where it's I think challenging.
Yeah.
All right, Tricia, I'm ready for your story.
The worst ever.
Bring on your worst ever story.
Okay, worst ever story. So I had he was a fairly new employee. I think he'd been here a month and a half. And he called in sick the one day. And he said, I'm not really feeling well, I'm going to take the day off. And he left kind of a voicemail. So I was like, okay, fine. And it's kind of always that red flag, like you're a month and a half in and you're already taking a sick day. Like, come on. So then he went to site the next day and left by 11. The foreman called me and said, I don't know about this new guy. He was off yesterday, now he had to leave at 11. He says he's not feeling well, he might go to the hospital. So third day, he doesn't show up to work. No phone call, nothing. Like I get nothing. So I reach out to him and I leave a message. Or I reached out to him and left a message, and then I emailed them. And I said, hey, we need to talk about this. You've only been here a month and a half. This is the third day in a row. He responds back and he says, listen, I was at the hospital with a very serious problem yesterday. And here is the proof. And attached to this email is a picture of his groin and a large red bump that I cannot unsee for the life of me. And nobody wants this ever in their email. Yeah. And no HR woman wants this. And that was it. And I will never not, like, it's just, it was so, and it was like, how sometimes in an email you get like the full picture, it doesn't attach, like, just like in a picture. It was massive, like this red bump in this. It was the worst thing I've ever seen.
Oh, man.
Yeah. So is he with the company still?
No.
Or that was it? Like, that was.
He then took the next day off, and I said, please, no more pictures. Like, I do not need any more pictures. I don't need proof. I understand you've got something going on. And then he just kept taking day after day. So we let him go. Yeah.
Maybe he's still not cured.
I don't want any proof.
If it was that bad, holy.
I do not want to ever see it again. It could have been on like Google, like bad images, you know? Like
Maybe it was. Maybe he just Googled
maybe he actually
Maybe that was
Googled
the
it.
excuse, you know?
That is a good one. Maybe he did. Because it was like, it was graphic. And I was like, who would ever send that? H.R. Like, here's my proof. It's in my groin. And it's this picture. Like, it was just, oh yeah, it was quite the day. So that's my worst ever call in sick.
Wow.
Yeah.
I've had, I can't come in, I drank some bad water.
Bad water?
Bad water. Yeah, he got sick from some bad water.
In Canada.
Yeah.
We did a
Must have been that Cornwall water.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
for some reason, one of like back at Ridge Lake, one of our guys drank some pond. He actually works for us now, Bill. And I'll talk about Bill directly because he knows this, and it's all over Instagram if you scroll back for him. He drank some pond water, and I don't remember why.
On purpose? Like, or did he just get some in his mouth or something?
No, he drank. I think it was a hot day, and
No,
and
you
he
went
went
for the pond water.
No, we had pumped the pond water into the tank on the water truck, and I think he might have drank the. But this was like 5 days later. He was like, "Yeah, I'm not feeling good. I think it was the pond water." I'm like, "Yo, bro, like the pond water was gonna kill you. That would have happened like
The parasite took days to grow.
It took, I guess, yeah.
Or there's a tadpole in there that turned into
Yeah,
a frog or something. Like
there was a whole thing that went on.
Like you gotta be really thirsty, like
To drink the
dying
water?
of thirst.
Yeah.
To pond water.
Well, he did. I think he thought it could come from the hydrant, and it was in the. I still wouldn't drink it out of the fertilizer tank.
No,
So
but
is there a policy now that says you cannot drink
yeah,
pond water on your site?
do
Like,
not drink the pond water. Let's not.
it's in the employee handbook, like when you do orientation, onboarding.
Nope. Do not.
You may just want to let you know on our sites, no pond water is drinkable.
My favorite all time ever, and ever someone had ever said to me, and is, "I'm not near my boots."
Not near my boots.
I was like, okay, cool.
Can you get near them, or
Can you get near them today? No,
are you within walking distance to the boots, or
no, I'm not. I literally was like, "Can you get near them today?" No. I was like, "Cool, all right, see you tomorrow." Hopefully
Cool,
you
bro.
wake up closer to your boots
Your
tomorrow.
boots.
Like it's just it was my
We have-
all-time favorite thing was I'm just not near my boots
I'm
today.
just not near them.
That's
Okay.
that's a good one. Yeah.
Did you ask for a photo?
We had a guy, a little guy, like this guy was a $1.10 soaking wet. Like he was a small guy, and like he was having a hard time lifting like what we would call a large rack, so
Yeah.
13 by 19 or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So the guys were razzing him a bit about that. Turns out, the guy actually got a worm from, he had recently visited Thailand or Indonesia or something like that, and he ate some chicken like from one of these street vendors that wasn't cooked, and ended up getting a parasite that actually like it fucked him up. Like he was like
It didn't matter what he could eat, like when he could eat, he couldn't gain any weight.
Yeah.
Oh God.
So I mean, the guys were razzing him, Cameron, you can't lift the large rack or whatever. Or, come on, you got to be able to lift more than that. The kid actually had a parasite. Like he.
Oh,
Did he take a picture of it and send it?
No.
That would have been a cool picture.
Yeah, that would have been a cool picture.
Better than mine.
Here's another favorite guy. He held the record, the all-time record. So first thing about this guy was he was lactose intolerant, and he would come back from the store at lunch and pound a thing of nacho cheese and be like, "Oh, I'm so sick now," and go home. Like, I'm lactose intolerant, bro. You're eating cheese. Like, you're fucking doing. But that's that part of the story with this guy's funny. But the funniest part is he showed up. Like, he showed up, say, September 29th, and then never came back. And we just never showed up again. We're like, cool, whatever. And then it's just landscaping, guys come and go, whatever. And then randomly on November 5th, showed up and jumped in the van. Like,
where have you been?
Bro, what is going on?
Did you let him work today?
Oh, fuck yeah.
I wanted just to hear the story.
Of course.
I don't think we even asked him. And then he worked a week and was gone again. He just like got it. I was like, oh, and we had, at that place too, we had a lot of like, I had like sort of an open door policy, like go and see if something's better. If it's not, just come back.
Come back.
And
so maybe he did that.
Well, that was before we had this policy. That's when I was like just a foreman. I wasn't really in charge of anything. So, but yeah, he held the record for longest streak of not coming to work and like maintaining his employment, which was like, it's like he went and worked somewhere for 5 weeks and then was like, this place is shit. I'm just gonna go back there, get in the bed, like fuck all happened.
Like nothing happened.
I just showed up and I went back to work. It was we had a couple guys that would come and go, and then they'd call me and they'd be like, "Hey man, I really need work. I'm really screwed.
I need work now because need
work." I'd be like, "Okay." Oh, they would leave like sort of like 6-8 months, and then they'd call me up and they'd be like, "Hey Mike, like," because everyone went through me. No one ever went through the boss. Right? Hey Mike, so I went in and I said, "Hey, this guy needs his job back," and blah, blah, blah. And he's like, "Oh, we don't really need him right now." And I'm like, "But we will in a couple of weeks if you look at the board." And I don't want him to go somewhere else. He's experienced, he knows what he's doing. And he was like, "Oh, no, I don't want him to start." So then I would call it, be like, "Okay, just come in on Monday and just hide at the back of the safety huddle, and I'll send you to work, and I'll tell the office you work here now." And I remember coming in like the chair. Why the fuck is that guy here? And I'm like, he works here now. It's all good. And it was like, just like, okay, no problem. And we all just went about our life. It was so. I had one guy I hired back without telling the owner, and at the safety huddle, he was anxious and nervous, and he was a heavy vapor. And so he's at the back of the safety huddle, and he knows, should I be there? Should I not be? He's not 100% sure. It wasn't really cleared with the owner that he would be coming back to work. It was just me saying, "Yeah, just show up, man. I'll send you in a truck. Don't worry about it." And he wasn't just vaping. He was double vaping.
Oh my God.
And he was just, and the whole meeting was this cloud of vape. And I remember going into the construction trailer after that. Why is he back here? I'm like, he works here now. It's all good. It's all good. Because it's just.
I can't stand those guys with the vape, like those big vape. They're the size of your cell phone. Those vapes.
Those are the
style. Like upper pocket or whatever, and they fall out, and they have to stop raking to pick up their vape. And then they're gonna have a smoke of it or whatever, and then put it back, and then stretch, and then get back to raking. I want to pitch the thing across.
You need a no vaping policy.
Yeah, we need a no vaping policy. And anytime. Like they're hooking up a machine in the morning or something, they're vaping or whatever. And the smoke, there's so much smoke out of these things. I think a machine's on fire. I've at least 5 times I've thought a machine is on fire.
Right over?
Because they've been vaping.
Well, it's also different than, I guess like you have to look at it like airlines, right? Like no smoking, no vaping. So same in landscaping. Like if you're not letting the guys smoke while they're filling up the machine with gas, you shouldn't be allowed to vape, right? Like,
yeah.
Should be kind of a standard.
We have no smoking stickers in our machines.
Yeah,
they're effective.
I think it's a law to have them. It
is.
Oh yeah.
Well, yeah. And you weren't supposed to be smoking in the machines and the trucks and all that kind of stuff. And I think the same with vaping.
Yeah. I wonder. A part of me wonders if some of them stay landscapers because they can smoke more throughout the day. They don't have to do a job as like. Yeah, like if they're a roofer or a landscaper, for us at least, they can smoke while they're doing sod and all this shit, and while they're laying brick and all this stuff. But I mean, just because we don't have a policy that says they can't, but anywhere else they wouldn't be able to do that. You're right.
Well, on your commercial sites though, there would be
like at schools and stuff, they have to hit the road and stuff, right? They
Yeah.
can't smoke out on site there, but like if they're on like a big topsoil job somewhere, they stop the machine and have their smoke or whatever.
Yeah.
But I mean, we're a little weird too. We don't take like breaks in the morning. We just work straight to like if you need a sandwich, you go have a sandwich or whatever. We don't have designated time because it sort of gets impedes our flow, I guess. But
and you're working on something you want them to keep working on that task, or they want to, right? Not stop midway through something.
And it works good for us. But I can't think of a time in the last 10 years or 15 years that I brought a meal that I can eat with a fork at work. It's always been handheld things for the past. And I think all the guys fell into that too. Like nobody brings a meal where you have a fork. We had one guy bring a microwave.
With him?
Yeah.
In the trailer?
Full size microwave. He had it in the trailer. And
what was he heating up?
I don't know. He was one of these muscle guys, so probably chicken and rice. And,
chicken, rice, and broccoli.
Yeah.
Lean protein, bro.
Yeah. He actually got in a fight with my lead guy, and he ended up walking off the job, but his walk of shame was with the microwave.
No!
Come on, we're out of here. He grabbed the microwave and said,
That's awesome.
Take it my microwave, and I'm
going home.
Yeah, that was it. Still, he's a good guy, but they didn't get along with the guy.
Well, landscaping's not for everybody, and certain career choices or people that you're going to work with aren't going to be for everybody, right? But taking your microwave and going home, that's a sad
like a full set. There's no mini microwave, right? There's only a full size microwave. There's no travel size microwave.
No, so he's just carrying it.
Yeah, he carried it on his truck and he was out of there.
Taking my microwave and I'm gone.
Yeah, I love it.
You guys can suck it.
It's a good walk of shame.
Yeah, that was it. I don't know. The more I think, I probably have more stories there, but
I forget half the.
Yeah.
I'm sure
daily.
So much stuff happens that you just
so much.
It's like it's like
never ending.
It's a never ending.
Yeah.
It's a never ending swirl of stuff. That landscaping is a unique culture.
That's a nice way of putting it. It is a very unique culture. Yes.
And you either. Very few people that I encounter you're either in or you're out.
Yes. Yeah.
There's not it's not like you're a landscaper for a bit and then you're either in and you understand the lifestyle and you're going to do this, or you're out pretty quickly. You might do it for a season, you might do it for and bail, or do it for a month. But you're either in the whole. Today we're doing trees. Tomorrow we're doing interlocks. Today we're stripping forms because some guy didn't show up to do it. And we're picking up garbage, and like it's even on a residential. We're doing the driveway, and now we're going up the side of the house. We're putting the fence back. We're doing the irrigation system, or I think that it's such a wild. You're either in or you're out. There's no. If people don't stick around, if they don't love it.
And I think it's great because it is so versatile. You can't get bored. You're always doing something different. Which I think the guys like, right? Like your crew, you move them around. Every project brings something new, something challenging. It's hard to get bored.
Yeah,
totally agree.
Except if you're at a project too long, then you get bored.
Yeah.
Are we good, Mike? Do we have our time?
Yeah, we're well past that. I think we should respect Tricia's time here and wrap things up.
Awesome. Thank you guys.
Tricia.
Yeah, go ahead.
Where can they find you? Where do they apply?
So you can go on our website.
This is your sales pitch for. We have about 250 listeners in the Dominican Republic.
Oh no! All right.
No, I'm just joking. 2% of our audience comes. 2% of our audience comes in the Dominican Republic. Anyway, but what I think you guys obviously I deal with your company.
Yes.
I think you guys have a unique and really good work environment. It's not perfect, but I think it's.
We're working hard to change.
I don't think there's any company working harder. And knowing you and Joe, I don't think there's two people that work harder to provide a good environment.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
You've always done that for us too and our guys. So, and we're
always. I think that's important. That subcontractor part, they get treated just the same as you do your own staff. That's I think
from
that's
day one. It's awesome. So where do people find you? Where do they apply?
www.sitescape.ca is our website. We're actually just in the middle of revamping it, so I'm not sure when this is going to air. It might have the new website. Our young Jack IT guy is fixing it, so you can actually apply online and kind of answer a few questions and upload your resume. You can send me a resume at careers@sitescape.ca. You can send it to Tricia at sitescape.ca, which is TRICIA. Or reach out on Instagram at Sitescape, I think. Yep. And
underscore. Yeah. You guys weren't quick enough.
We weren't
just like me. It's Paver_King.
Yeah,
wasn't quick enough on the bill.
Wasn't quick enough. But I think we're hiring. We'll be doing a big hiring push soon, so we'll have ads on Indeed and all those kinds of things as well. So gearing up for this season. Thanks for having me, guys. This is really fun.
This was great. Thank you so much.
Oh, I had a blast, Tricia. It was awesome.
I really want to come to the dispute resolution with the lunch kit. Really got to be a part of this one now. I got to see it through.
We're gonna film it.
Someone better.
It's gonna be content. This is great.
Do it on Zoom. You can Zoom the dispute resolution. Yeah.
I don't think either one of those guys would be up for that at all. Not knowing it. Televised.
Next time you're headed east, Tricia, you can go through Cornwall and
I'll pop in.
Yeah. We're right off the highway. Very easy to find.
There you go.
Yeah.